The gavel slammed down like a gunshot in the stale air of the courtroom, and my world shattered into 1,000 jagged pieces. "Guilty," the judge intoned, his voice flat as the Midwestern rain that had soaked me on the drive to this godforsaken Illinois county seat. Liam Harper, 24 and already broken beyond repair, stared at the floor, feeling the cold bite of handcuffs snap around my wrists, accused of theft from the very family farm that had chewed me up and spit me out for loving the wrong kind of man. But it wasn't the verdict that gutted me. It was the betrayal in my father's eyes across the room, the way he wouldn't even look at me as the bailiff hauled me toward the door. "You're no son of mine," he'd whispered earlier that morning, his Bible-thumping hypocrisy slicing deeper than any sentence ever could. And just when I thought the darkness couldn't swallow me whole, a voice cut through the chaos like a lifeline tossed into a storm. "Your Honor, I'd like to enter an appearance for the defendant." I twisted in the grip of the deputy, my heart hammering against my ribs, and there he was, Zachary Kane, all sharp suits and sharper eyes, striding into the fray like he owned the damn place. A Chicago lawyer with a reputation for gutting corrupt, small-town DAs like fish. He'd heard about my case from some bleeding heart legal aid hotline and driven 3 hours just to crash this kangaroo court. "I'm Zachary Kane," he said, flashing a smile that was equal parts predator and protector. "And I'm here to make sure justice isn't just another word for revenge." File 1 of 5. That first meeting in the holding cell after the arraignment was a blur of fluorescent lights buzzing overhead and the metallic tang of fear in my mouth. I'd been shoved into a 6x8 concrete box that smelled like desperation and old vomit, my orange jumpsuit itching against skin still raw from the arrest. The farmhands, my so-called family, had caught me siphoning diesel from the equipment shed, but it wasn't theft. It was survival. Dad had cut me off cold turkey the day he found out about me and Tommy, the ranch hand with calloused hands and a kiss that tasted like summer hay. "Faggot," he'd spat, and that was that. No job, no home, no nothing. I'd been crashing in the barn, scraping by on odd jobs, until hunger made me desperate. The door clanged open, and in walked Zachary, clipboard in hand, his polished loafers echoing off the walls like he was walking into a boardroom, not a jail. He was taller than I'd imagined from the courtroom sketch, maybe 6'2", with a jawline that could cut glass and hazel eyes that pinned you in place. His dark hair was tousled just enough to look effortless, and he carried himself with the easy confidence of someone who'd never known a day of real doubt. "Liam Harper?" he asked, voice low and steady, like he was coaxing a spooked horse. I nodded, slumping against the bench, too drained to play tough. "Yeah. You really gonna take this mess on? This bullshit? But it's airtight. Cops got my prints. Dad's testimony. Small-town justice don't give a damn about truth." He pulled up the flimsy metal stool across from me, knees almost brushing mine in the tight space, and leaned in. There was something disarming about him up close. No pity, just a quiet intensity that made the room feel a little less like a tomb. I read the file on the drive over. "Your father's farm's been bleeding money for years. Subsidies drying up, corn prices in the toilet. He's got liens up to his eyeballs, and you're the perfect scapegoat to keep the bank off his back. Insurance fraud dressed up as family drama." I snorted, a bitter laugh escaping despite the knot in my throat. "You make it sound like a Lifetime movie. But yeah, that's Earl Harper for you. God-fearing hypocrite who preaches forgiveness on Sundays and wields a belt like the devil on Mondays. Especially after. Well, you know." Zachary's gaze softened, just a flicker, but it hit me like sunlight breaking through clouds. "After you came out? Or after he found you with that guy in the hayloft?" He flipped a page on his clipboard, but his eyes never left mine. Tommy Reyes. Left town quick after the dust-up. I tracked him down. Guy's working construction in Peoria now. Says you two were careful. That it was just bad luck your old man came looking for a lost wrench. Heat flooded my face. A mix of shame and that old ache for what Tommy and I had shared in stolen moments. Rough hands on sweat-slick skin. Whispers that drowned out the world's hate. But it was over before it started. And now here I was, facing 5 years in a state pen for a crime I didn't commit. What do you want from me, Mr. Kane? A tearful confession? I ain't got nothing left to give. Call me Zach, he said, setting the clipboard aside and rolling up his sleeves, revealing forearms corded with muscle and a faint scar snaking up his left wrist, like a reminder of some battle he'd already won. And I want the truth. Straight up. Not for the file, but for me. Because if we're doing this, Liam and we are, I'm all in. I'll fight tooth and nail to get these charges dropped. But I need to know you're worth the war. His words hung there, heavy and electric. And for the first time in weeks, I felt seen. Not as the family disgrace or the queer kid run out of town, but as a man with a pulse, with fight left in him. I straightened up, meeting his stare. All right, Zach. Truth? I love that farm like it was my own blood, even if it hates me back. I'd die before I stole from it. And yeah, I'm gay. Been knowing since I was 14, hiding it like a loaded gun. Dad found out, lost his shit, and now this. So if you're promising to take care of me, make it stick. 'Cause I can't take another letdown. He held my gaze a beat longer, something unspoken passing between us, then nodded once, sharp and sure. I promise, Liam. I'll take care of you. And damn if those words didn't lodge in my chest like a hook, pulling me toward him even as the deputy banged on the door to haul me back to Gen Pop. The next few days blurred into a haze of motions and meetings. Zach worked like a man possessed, filing for bail reduction, subpoenaing bank records that painted my father as the desperate debtor he was. He got me out on a measly $5 grand, scraped together from some pro bono fund he sweet-talked, and by Friday afternoon, I was breathing free air again, standing on the courthouse steps with nothing but a duffel of clothes and a bus ticket stub to nowhere. Can't send you back to that farm, Zach said, tossing me the keys to his sleek black Audi, a far cry from my rusted Ford pickup rotting in impound. You're staying with me in Chicago till this blows over. Guest room's yours. No strings. I hesitated, the wind whipping off Lake Michigan carrying the sharp scent of autumn leaves and exhaust. Chicago was a world away from the flat cornfields of home, neon lights and skyscrapers instead of silos and sermons. You sure? I ain't exactly house-trained for city folk. And what about your life, girlfriend, boyfriend? He chuckled, a low rumble that warmed the chill in my bones, and slid on his aviators, hiding those hazel eyes. Single as they come, cowboy. And trust me, my life's a revolving door of depositions and dry cleaners. You might actually liven it up. He clapped a hand on my shoulder, firm and steady, and for a split second, his thumb brushed the nape of my neck. Accidental, maybe, but it sent a spark straight down my spine. The drive north was quiet at first, I-55 stretching like a gray vein through suburbs turning gold with fall. Zach fiddled with the radio, landing on some classic rock station crooning Springsteen, fitting, I thought, for a story about busted dreams and open roads. Born to Run filled the car, and I found myself humming along, the tension in my shoulders easing for the first time in months. Tell me about you, I said finally. twisting to face him as traffic slowed near the city limits. Skyscrapers loomed ahead, jagged against a bruised sky. Why a hotshot lawyer like you slum in it with small-time cases? You could be raking in corporate bucks, not saving sorry asses like mine. He glanced over, one hand loose on the wheel, the other drumming the gear shift. Grew up in a place not unlike yours, Gary. Indiana. Steel mill town gone bust. Dad was a union man, lost everything in the layoffs, turned to the bottle. Mom held it together with 3 jobs, but by 16, I was hustling law books from the library, dreaming of suits and courtrooms where the little guy gets a fair shake. His voice dipped, edged with something raw. Had a brother, too. Younger. Came out in high school, got the hell beat out of him by his own teammates. I sued the school district, won a settlement, but it was too late. He couldn't take the hate. Hung himself sophomore year. The car went silent, Springsteen's wail fading into static. My throat tightened, picturing a kid like me, cornered by the world's cruelty. Jesus, Zach. I'm sorry. That's why you do this. He nodded, jaw tight. Yeah. And why I don't back down. Life's too short for cowards. We hit the Dan Ryan Expressway then, the city swallowing us whole, horns blaring, lights streaking like comets. His condo was in Lincoln Park, a sleek high-rise with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the zoo and the lake beyond. Marble counters, leather couches, a kitchen that screamed, I make partner-level pasta. It was worlds from the creaky floorboards and moth-eaten quilts of the farmhouse. Mi casa, he said, flipping on lights that chased shadows from the corners. Showers down the hall. Get the jail stink off you. I'll order Thai. I lingered in the doorway, duffel at my feet, feeling like an intruder in his polished life. Thanks, man. For all of it. I don't know how to. Don't. He cut in gently, stepping close enough that I caught his scent. Clean soap and sandalwood. Just breathe, Liam. We've got time. His hand found my arm again, squeezing once before letting go, and I nodded, bolting for the bathroom before the heat in my cheeks betrayed me. That night, over pad thai on the balcony with the city humming below, we talked till the stars blurred with streetlights. He shared stories of courtroom wins and losses, the thrill of cross-examining a lying witness till they cracked like cheap china. I spilled about the farm, the endless rows of corn whispering secrets at dusk, the way Tommy's laugh could make even a busted tractor feel like home. There was a pull between us, subtle as a current under still water, in the way his eyes lingered on my mouth when I laughed, or how my knee brushed his under the table and neither of us moved away. By week's end, the charges were unraveling. Zach's filings exposed the farm's shady accounting, turning the spotlight on Dad's desperation. But as the legal storm cleared, something else brewed, warmer and more dangerous. Mornings became ritual, coffee black for him, sweet with cream for me, shared at the counter while he reviewed briefs and I sketched farm scenes on napkins, dreaming of a life beyond barbed wire and bad blood. One evening, after a brutal day in court where Dad took the stand and perjured himself with tales of my delinquent ways, Zach came home drained, Thai askew, pouring scotch neat. I was at the stove, stirring spaghetti sauce, a poor man's apology for crashing his life. He looked right through me, I said, voice cracking as I plated the food. Like I was a ghost he wished would stay gone. Zach set his glass down hard, crossing the kitchen in 2 strides to pull me into a hug that crushed the air from my lungs. His chin rested on my head, heartbeat steady against my ear. You're not a ghost, Liam. You're solid. Real. And he's the one who's gonna haunt his own regrets. We stood like that, my face buried in his shirt, inhaling him like oxygen after drowning. When he pulled back, his hands framed my face, thumbs tracing my jaw, and the air thickened, charged. I promised I'd take care of you, he murmured, voice rough as gravel. Let me. Our first kiss was inevitable, born of exhaustion and need. A slow burn that ignited when his lips brushed mine, tentative, then fierce. I tasted salt and scotch, felt his fingers tangle in my hair as I pressed him against the counter, the world narrowing to the heat of his mouth, the scrape of his stubble. It was messy, urgent, hands fumbling with buttons and belts, until we stumbled to his bedroom, shedding clothes like old skin. He was all lean muscle and quiet strength, scars mapping stories across his chest, a knife fight in college. He later confessed, defending a friend from a bar brawl. I traced them with my tongue, drawing gasps that echoed my own. We moved together like we'd been waiting lifetimes, his body arching under mine, whispers of Liam like prayers in the dark. It wasn't just sex. It was reclamation, two outcasts forging something unbreakable amid the ruins. Waking up tangled in Zachary's sheets the next morning felt like stealing sunlight, warm, illicit, and too good to last. His arm draped heavy across my waist, breath steady against my neck, and for a heartbeat, I let myself pretend this was normal. A Chicago lawyer and a farm boy turned reluctant houseguest, building a life from late nights and lazy dawns. The city skyline glittered beyond the blinds, a promise of reinvention, but doubt crept in with the coffee's aroma, bitter as the truth I'd been dodging. We'd christened his king-sized bed with the kind of abandon that leaves bruises in the best way. His nails raking my back as I pinned him down, our rhythms syncing like a heartbeat finally finding its match. Afterward, slick and spent, we'd lain there trading secrets. His law school flings with closeted profs, my fumbling high school experiments in the back of a grain truck. Laughter had bubbled up, easing the ache of old wounds, and when he traced the faded bruise on my ribs, Dad's last lesson before the arrest, I'd kissed him quiet, grateful for the man who'd turned my cell into a second chance. But reality crashed in over breakfast, Zach's phone buzzing with a text from his paralegal, DA's countering with plea deal. 18 months probation if you cop to misdemeanor. He read it aloud. Fork paused midair over his eggs. It's a start, but it's bullshit. Your father's leaning on his cronies in county, trying to bury this quick and dirty. I pushed my plate away, appetite soured. The kitchen, with its gleaming appliances and view of joggers in the park below, suddenly felt like a glass cage. 18 months? That's admitting I did it, Zach. I lose everything. Can't go back to the farm. Can't get AG work with a record. And what about us? This? I gestured vaguely between us, heat rising in my chest. He reached across the island, lacing his fingers with mine, his touch grounding. Hey, we're not losing anything. I'll negotiate it down to dismissed, or we go to trial and I eviscerate them on the stand. You're innocent, Liam, and I'll prove it. His eyes held that fire again, the one that had hooked me from the start, and I nodded, leaning in for a kiss that tasted like resolve. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of domestic bliss laced with legal grit. Mornings, I'd tag along to his firm downtown, a gleaming tower of glass and ambition where he was the rising star of the public defender's wing. While he huddled in conferences, I'd haunt the Loop's coffee shops, sketching passers-by on scavenged menus, harried execs in Burberry coats, street musicians with frost-kissed cheeks, the endless ballet of a city that never slept. Afternoons blurred into strategy sessions at his desk, me poring over depositions while he paced, voice rising in mock arguments that made the interns scatter. Evenings were ours. We'd cook, badly at first, my farm-fresh chili clashing with his urban sushi attempts, then collapse on the couch for Netflix marathons, his head in my lap as I carded fingers through his hair. Sex became our language, evolving from frantic releases to slow explorations. Him mapping my body with lawyerly precision, me learning the spots that made him unravel, a hitch in his breath when I nipped his collarbone. "Your trouble," he'd murmur post-climax, pulling me close, and I'd grin into his neck, whispering, "Good thing you like fightin' for the underdog," but cracks spiderwebbed in, subtle at first. Calls from home. My sister Ellie, voice trembling over the line. "Dad's sellin' off equipment to cover the legal fees he's blammin' on you. Says you're ruinin' us all." I'd hang up shaking, Zach's arms my anchor, but the guilt festered. Then there was Marcus, Zach's ex, a silver-tongued litigator from his firm, all Ivy League polish and lingering glances during office happy hours. I catch them in the hallway, Marcus's hand on Zach's elbow a second too long, his laugh too familiar. "Old flame," I'd ask later, casual as I could, and Zach would wave it off. "Water under the bridge. Guy's a shark. Cheated on me with a client. Back when I was green." I believed him, or wanted to, burying unease in the rhythm of our days. November rolled in crisp and golden, leaves carpeting the park like confetti for a parade we weren't invited to. One Saturday, Zach surprised me with tickets to a Blackhawks game. Nosebleeds, but the roar of the crowd, the crack of sticks on ice, it was electric. Halftime found us in a dimly lit bar overlooking the rink, beers sweating in our hands, his knee pressed warm against mine under the table. "You're glowing," he said, toasting me with a grin. "City suits you, farm boy." I clinked my bottle to his, the amber liquid sloshing. "Nah, you do." Never thought I'd find home in a high-rise, but here we are, emboldened by the buzz. I leaned in, kissing him soft and unhurried, right there amid the rowdy fans. A few catcalls rippled, but Zach just deepened it, hand cupping my neck like I was precious. In that moment, fate felt bendable, our story writable with a happy twist. The illusion shattered 2 nights later. I'd come home early from a job hunt, barista gigs and warehouse spots, anything to pull my weight, arms laden with groceries for a roast that screamed, "Thank you." The condo was dark, but voices leaked from the study, Zach's, low and tense, then Marcus's, smooth as silk. "Can't keep pretending, Kane. That kid's a liability, small-town scandal waiting to drag you down. Remember what happened last time? You vouched for that activist, and the partners buried you in busywork for a year." I froze in the foyer, bags crinkling like accusations. Zach's reply was muffled, but sharp. "This isn't about politics, Mark. Liam's different. He's real, innocent." Marcus's laugh cut like glass. "Wake up. He's using you, free lawyer, free bed. I saw the way he looks at your wallet when you pay for dinner. And after your brother's mess, you're masochistic, chasing redemption in every pretty face that reminds you of him." The words landed like punches, echoing my deepest fears. Was I a leech on Zach's white knight complex? My baggage a chain around his neck? Heart pounding, I backed out, dumping the groceries in the hall and fleeing to the stairwell, breaths ragged. Rain slicked the streets as I wandered, neon signs blurring into halos of regret. Hours later, soaked to the bone, I ended up at a dive bar in Wicker Park, nursing whiskey that burned less than the truth. Zach found me at last call, face etched with worry, coat draped over his arm. Liam, Christ, I've been calling. Marcus said you overheard. It wasn't. He slid onto the stool beside me, hand hovering like he feared I'd bolt. Save it, I slurred, slamming my glass down. He's right. I'm your charity case, Zach. The queer kid with daddy issues, perfect for your savior complex. You see your brother in me, don't you? Some tragic figure to fix before I off myself too. His eyes flashed, hurt twisting into anger. Bullshit. Marcus is jealous, always has been. He came over to poach a client, twisted it into this crap to get under my skin. But you, God, Liam, you're not a project. You're the first guy in years who makes me feel alive. Not just armored up. He gripped my wrist, pulse thumping under his thumb. Come home. Let me prove it. I yanked away, the bar's haze closing in. Prove what? That I'm worth more than pity fucks? Or that you won't bail when the novelty wears off? Tears stung, hot and unwelcome. I trusted you. Promised to take care of me. Hell, that's what started this. But maybe I'm just the fool who believed a pretty lie. We argued in the cab back. Words flying like shrapnel, me accusing, him defending until exhaustion won. In the elevator, silent and seething, he pulled me into a bruising kiss, desperate, tasting of rain and resolve. Stay, he whispered against my lips. Fight with me, not against. I did, for a while. We patched the fracture with make-up sex that left us raw. Vows whispered in the afterglow. But Marcus's poison lingered, a shadow in our laughter, a hesitation in my touch. The trial loomed, set for December, and with it, Dad's subpoenaed lies ready to air our family's filth in open court. Zach doubled down, prepping me for testimony, his belief a bomb. Yet late nights, I'd stare at the ceiling, wondering if love could outrun the ghosts we both carried. Thanksgiving came uninvited, a hollow echo of cornucopias and grace. Zach cooked turkey with all the trimmings, inviting a ragtag crew from the firm, divorcees and do-gooders who toasted to found family. I played host, charming with tales of harvest moons, but inside, homesickness gnawed. Ellie called midway, voice small, miss you, Lee. Dad's drinkin' heavy, talkin' 'bout sellin' the back 40. Says it's your fault. Tell him to choke on it, I muttered, but hung up gentle, excusing myself to the balcony. Snow flurried soft, blanketing the city in hush. Zach found me there, 2 mugs of mulled wine steaming. Ellie's worried, I admitted, leaning into him. Thinks I'll drag the whole Harper name through the mud. He wrapped me up from behind, chin on my shoulder. Let him talk. We're building something better here, you and me. A life where no one's swinging belts or hiding closets. His lips brushed my ear. Warm promise. I love you, Liam. Not the broken parts, the whole damn stubborn you. The words hit like grace, unearned and overflowing. Love you too, I breathed, turning to claim his mouth, snowflakes melting on our skin. In that fragile peace, I almost believed we could weather the storm. But betrayal has a way of circling back, sharper each time. December dawned brittle and unforgiving, the windy city whipping lake-effect snow into furies that mirrored the tempest brewing in court. The trial kicked off on the 10th. A circus of locals crammed into the federal courthouse. Farmers in flannel glaring daggers. Reporters sniffing for queer scandal amid the fraud. Dad took the stand first. Paunch straining his Sunday best. Swearing on a stack of Bibles that I'd always been troubled. Pilfering tools since puberty. Culminating in the diesel heist to fund my sinful ways. Zach shredded him on cross like tissue paper. Mr. Harper, isn't it true your farm's operating at a $150,000 deficit? Per these IRS filings. He slapped exhibits down, voice booming. And that you've been borrowing, from equipment leases to cover gambling debts in Springfield? Gasps rippled. Dad sputtered red-faced, invoking God and country, but the jury, a mix of urban skeptics and rural holdouts, shifted uneasy. I testified next, palms slick on the oak rail, the room's eyes boring into me like accusations. I ain't a thief, I said, voice steady despite the quake in my gut. That farm's my blood, woke to rooster crows, hands blistered from harvest. Dad cut me off when he learned I was gay, left me scrappin' in the shadows. The diesel, I never touched it. But he'd sell his soul before admittin' his own shortcomings. Zach's redirect was masterful, drawing out my sketches, framed now on his office wall, of amber fields and starlit barns, proof of a love too deep for betrayal. Whispers turned to nods. Even the bailiff cracked a sympathetic half-smile. Closing arguments sealed it. Zach painted me as the scapegoat in America's heartland tragedy. Queer kid collateral in a father's war on his failures. This isn't about fuel, he thundered. It's about a boy who dared to love freely, and a system that punishes truth with chains. The jury deliberated 2 days, an eternity of pacing Zach's condo, chain smoking on the fire escape while he brewed endless pots of coffee. On the 3rd, the foreman read, "Not guilty," and the courtroom erupted, reporters scrambling, locals muttering exodus. Dad stormed out without a word, his glare a final severing, but Ellie slipped me a note. "Proud of you, big bro. Come home when you're ready." Elation hit like champagne uncorked. Zach swept me into a bear hug right there on the courthouse steps. Cameras flashing forgotten as our lips met in victory. Raw, unapologetic, the city our witness. "We did it," he breathed, forehead to mine. "You're free." Freedom tasted like deep dish pizza at Giordano's that night, toasting with craft IPAs amid the diner's holiday cheer. "What's next, counselor?" I asked, foot hooking his under the booth, buzzed on more than beer. He grinned, wicked and warm. "New Year's in the Keys? Palm trees. No subpoenas, just you, me, and a bottle of rum." "Tempting," I teased, "but only if you promise no ties." Suits cramp my style. "Deal." His hand covered mine, thumb stroking knuckles, and in that booth, with Bing Crosby crooning carols overhead, I saw our future unspool. A house with a yard for Ellie's visits, maybe a dog loping through knee-high grass, Zach's laughter echoing over barbecues. Christmas Eve sealed the dream. He'd strung lights along the balcony, a twinkling canopy against the snow-globed skyline. We exchanged gifts by the tree he'd wrestled up 3 flights. His, a leather-bound journal for my sketches, embossed with stories worth telling. Mine, a silver cuff engraved promises kept, slipped onto his wrist with a kiss that led to the rug, unwrapping each other slow, reverent, his body a landscape I knew by heart. New Year's dawned with hangovers and hope. We jetted south, Miami's heat a balm on winter-weary bones. The Keys were paradise unbuttoned. Conch shacks and coral reefs. Rum punches at sunset bars where no one batted an eye at two guys sharing a hammock. We snorkeled turquoise waters, his hand finding mine amid parrotfish flashes. Made love on a beach blanket under stars, waves lapping confessions. "Marry me?" he murmured one dawn, salt-crusted and sleepy, a seashell ring pressed into my palm. I laughed, tears pricking. "Thought you'd never ask." City boy, back in Chicago, the high lingered. I landed a gig at a Northside nursery, tending rooftop gardens for condos, dirt under nails, a echo of home without the hate. Zach made partner whispers a reality, his caseload swelling. But nights were sacred. Home-cooked meals, tangled limbs, plans sketched on napkins for a life intertwined. Then Marcus struck. February's chill bit deep when Zach came home ashen, a manila envelope clutched like a grenade. "They found something," he said, sinking onto the couch. Anonymous tip to the firm, photos from the farm. "You and Tommy," time-stamped last summer. My stomach dropped, the images spilling out, grainy shots from the hayloft. Our bodies blurred but unmistakable, passion captured as perversion. Dad's work, no doubt, scavenged from some hidden camera he'd planted in his paranoia. "How? We were careful. Doesn't matter." Zach's voice cracked, rare vulnerability cracking his armor. "The partners are spooked. Queer client in a fraud case. Optics are shit, especially with the Bible Belt donors they court. They're reassigning my cases, sidelining me. Marcus pulled strings, says it's conflict of interest now that we're us. Rage boiled, hot and helpless. Fire him. Sue the bastards. You earned that spot. Can't." He raked hands through his hair, cuff glinting accusation. "Not without torching bridges I need. And if it leaks to the press, your acquittal gets dragged back. Not guilty, but guilty of sodomy." Headlines screaming. The room spun, betrayal's aftertaste sour. Marcus, the ex with a grudge, twisting our love into leverage. But worse was the fracture in Zach's eyes. Ambition warring with us, the promise he'd made fraying at the edges. "So what now?" I whispered, sinking beside him. "You fight, or we fold." He pulled me close, but the embrace felt tentative, shadowed. "I fight. Always. But Liam, this could get ugly. You sure you want to weather it with me?" I cupped his face, fierce. "Promised me. Remember, take care of me." "I'm in all the way." We hunkered down, fortifying. Zach lawyered up, his own firm against itself, filing ethics complaints on Marcus's smear campaign. I rallied support. Ellie drove up with pies and platitudes, her hug fierce. "Harpers don't quit," she said, and for once, I believed it. But the backlash swelled. Protesters picketed the firm, Westboro light zealots waving sodomite scum signs, egged on by Dad's church allies. Online, trolls doxed us, slinging slurs that echoed high school lockers. One night, eggs splattered our lobby, the super muttering apologies as we mopped. Zach's sleep frayed, cases slipping through fingers greased by doubt. Climax crashed mid-March, a stormy night that mirrored the gale inside. I'd come home from a late shift to find Zach pacing, phone to ear, voice lethal. "You son of a bitch, fabricating evidence? I'll bury you." He hung up, face thunderous, and thrust a flash drive at me. Marcus's insurance policy. Hacked his email. Turns out he paid your old man $5,000 for those photos. Bribed him to plant the diesel can with your prints before the cops even rolled up. Horror iced my veins. Dad. Sold me out? For cash. The man who'd raised me. Rough hands teaching me to mend fences. Now fencing me for chump change. Worse. Zach's jaw ticked. It's all here, emails. Wire transfers. Marcus orchestrated the whole frame to tank my career. Payback for dumping him. Your father's just the pawn. Fury ignited, propelling me out the door into the sleet-lashed streets. The drive south was a blur. Wipers slashing rain like accusations. Radio static hissing Dad's sins. The farm loomed dark. Porch light a mocking beacon. I burst in without knocking, finding him at the kitchen table, Bible open, whiskey bottle half empty. You bastard, I roared, slamming the drive down. Sold pictures of me? With Tommy? For what groceries? A new tractor. He didn't flinch, eyes bloodshot and defiant. Filth under my roof. God don't abide it. Boy. That lawyer twisted you worse. Twisted. I laughed. Hollow. You twisted us all with your hate. Mom died thinking she failed you. Ellie cries herself sick. And me? I loved this place. Now it's poison. Tears streamed, mixing with rain. Why, Dad? Was I ever enough? He wavered, glass trembling, then crumpled. Debts. The farm. Thought it'd end clean. A sob escaped. Rob. Forgive me, son. I was scared. The word son pierced. Old wounds gaping. I turned, fleeing before pity could chain me. Back in Chicago, Zach waited, arms open. It's over, he said, after I spilled it all. Cops have the drive. Marcus arrested by dawn. Your dad's confessing to fraud. Clean slate, but the cost lingered. Trust's fragile rebuild. April thawed the city slow. Dogwoods blooming defiant along Michigan Avenue. But our wounds festered beneath the spring facade. Marcus's arrest made headlines. Top lawyer busted in bribery bust. A tabloid feast that painted Zach as the heroic whistleblower, his firm scrambling to spin redemption. Promotions dangled anew, but he waved them off. Voice edged. Not if it means climbing on your back. Liam. We do this clean. Clean, though, was relative. Dad's confession cracked the farm wide. Federal probes into embezzlement. The back 40 auction to settle debts. Ellie called daily, voice a tightrope of grief and grit. He's broken, Lee. Sleeps in the chair, staring at your old room. Come see him? For me, I resisted, nursing grudges like bad whiskey, but Zach's quiet counsel wore me down. Humanity's messy, he'd say over morning runs along the lakefront, our breaths puffing clouds in the dawn chill. Forgiveness ain't weakness. It's claiming your power back. His belief, unshakable, chipped at my armor. And by May, I relented. The drive to Illinois was a pilgrimage of potholes and ghosts. Zach's hand steady on my thigh as cornfields unfurled like green accusations. The farmhouse sagged wearier, paint peeling like shed lies, but Ellie met us on the porch. Flour-dusted apron-hugging curves softened by worry. He don't deserve you, she whispered, pulling me into a bone crusher. But family's all we got. Dad waited in the parlor, shrunken in his recliner, Bible unopened on the side table. No whiskey haze this time, just hollow eyes tracking my approach. Liam, he rasped, voice gravel from disuse. Heard 'bout the city lawyer. Good man. I stood rigid, arms crossed, Zach a silent sentinel at my elbow. He's more than that, Saved me from the hell you shoveled. Words tumbled then. Hurt poured like floodwaters. The belts, the slurs, the betrayal that branded me thief and sinner. You broke us. That. For what? Fear of neighbors' whispers. He nodded, tears carving tracks in dust-caked cheeks. Feared losing you to the devil in me. The anger, the bottle. Your ma, God rest her. She saw it comin'. Begged me to love you fierce. Not fierce wrong. A hand extended, trembling, calloused, familiar. Can you? Forgive an old fool. The dam burst. I knelt, gripping that hand like a lifeline, sobs racking us both. Zach's touch on my shoulder was anchor, his presence permission to heal. We talked till dusk bled purple. Stories of Mom's secret pride in my drawings. Dad's own buried doubts from Korean War foxholes where buddies loved quiet and wrong. No absolution instant, but a start, tentative, human. Driving back, windows down to swallow fresh earth. I turned to Zach, wind-tousled and radiant. You were right. Messy, but worth it. He smiled, soft. Told you. Now let's make our own messy beautiful. Summer scorched in. A season of reclamation. I thrived at the nursery, coaxing rooftop tomatoes from concrete cracks. Clients raving about my heartland touch. Zach balanced caseloads with pro bono zeal. Mentoring queer kids through legal clinics. His brother's legacy. Alive and kicking. Weekends blurred into adventures. Kayaking the Chicago River. Elbows bumping in cramped cockpits. Picnics in Millennium Park. Feeding each other gelato while buskers wailed blues. Our love deepened roots. Playful and profound. Mornings, he'd wake me with coffee and kisses trailing south, murmuring mine against my hip bones. Nights, we'd dance slow in the kitchen to Coltrane vinyls, his chin hooked over my shoulder, bodies swaying to rhythms only we heard. Sex was sacrament, lazy Sundays tangled in sheets, exploring edges with toys he'd blushingly ordered online. Urgent midnights after tough cases, reclaiming control in the press of flesh. But peace is fragile, and fate's got a cruel sense of humor. July's heat wave peaked with a call from Zach's firm. A high-profile case, civil rights suit against a megachurch for conversion therapy horrors. It's huge, he said over dinner. I's a light. Could set precedent, protect kids like my brother. Like you. Pride swelled, but so did unease. Nationwide spotlight? We'll be out there. Us. Unfiltered. He nodded, fork-spearing salad. Scared. Terrified. I admitted. But yeah. For you. The case consumed him, late nights pouring precedents. Weekends in strategy huddles. I supported from the wings, testifying as an expert on rural queer trauma. My voice steady under fluorescent glare. Media swarmed. CNN spots where Zach's charisma shone, painting him the dashing defender. Puff pieces in Out magazine dubbing us Chicago's power couple. Then the knife twisted. August brought leaks, anonymous drops to conservative outlets, dredging Dad's scandal, twisting my acquittal into sympathy verdict for the deviant. Trolls escalated. Death threats scrawled on our door. Slash tires in the garage. Zach brushed it off, collateral for change. But I saw the toll, gray threading his temples, sleep fractured by nightmares. Climax crested Labor Day weekend, a rally in Grant Park for queer rights. Thousands gathered, rainbow flags snapping in breeze, speeches thundering solidarity. Zach keynote, voice soaring over the crowd. We are not mistakes to be fixed. We are miracles to be cherished. Cheers erupted. I beamed from the front row, Heart bursting. Post-rally, euphoria carried us to a rooftop bar, city lights winking approval. Champagne fizzed. We toasted futures, his arm slung possessive around my waist. To us, he said, clinking glasses, unbreakable. But as we descended in the glass elevator, overlooking the glittering sprawl, his phone vibrated. A text from an unknown. Check the Tribune. Your boy's past caught up. Heart sinking. I snatched it. Zach protesting. But the link loaded. A grainy photo splashed across the front page. Me and Tommy. Hayloft embrace. Captioned acquitted thief's secret shame. Was justice blind to lust? Revulsion hit like vertigo. Who? Marcus is locked up. Doesn't matter. Zach's face drained. Hands scrubbing his jaw. The church's PR machine counterstrike to tank our cred. He paced the lobby. Fury coiling. This ends us. Liam. Sponsors pulling funding. Jury pools poisoned. I can't. Can't what? My voice rose. Bro. Fight? You promised. Zach. Through the ugly. Remember. He stopped. Eyes tormented. I know. But this is not just us. Kids relying on this win, families like yours. Mine. If we lose cause of bedroom pics. Betrayal bloomed. Cold and choking. So I'm the liability now? Like Marcus said. Tears blurred the marble floors. All that miracles talk. Bullshit if it costs you the war. No, he reached. But I jerked back. Storming into the night. Cab doors slamming on his pleas. The condo echoed empty when I packed. A duffel half-zipped. Sketches scattered like confetti regrets. Dawn found me on the balcony. Coffee cold. Resolve hardening. Better to cut the cord than watch him sacrifice for my shadows. He burst in at sunrise. Disheveled. Desperation etching lines. Don't. Please. I panicked, fear talking. Not me. Kneeling before the chair. Hands on my knees. He bared it all. The terror of losing another love to hate's machinery. The brother haunt that whispered failure. You're my miracle, Liam. Fight with me. One more round. Sobs racked me. I pulled him up. Our kiss salt sour. Bodies colliding in frantic reaffirmation on the living room floor. Clothes shed in haste. Thrusts a dialogue of desperation and devotion. Never again, he gasped against my neck, and I believed, clinging to the wreckage we called home. Fall foliage crowned the city in fire by September's end, but our battle raged colder, a siege of depositions and discovery that tested every vow. The church countersued for defamation, claiming Zach's rhetoric incited hate crimes against their flock, irony thick as smog. Marcus, out on bail pending appeal, slithered back as their counsel, smirking across courtroom aisles like a serpent in pinstripes. I stood firm, testifying again, detailing Dad's abuse, the frame-up's fallout, how love, mine for Tommy, now Zach, forged strength, not sin. They call it shame, I told the judge, voice unwavering under Marcus's sneers. But it's survival. And we're done hiding. Zach's cross of their witnesses was surgical, exposing coerced testimonies, padded therapy sessions that broke more souls than they mended. Off record, strain etched us. Nights dissolved into takeout and trial prep. Intimacy reduced to exhausted cuddles. Touches more comfort than conflagration. Miss this, I'd murmur, nuzzling his neck, and he'd sigh. Soon, love. Victory first. October's gales howled as opening arguments loomed, but a curveball landed. Dad, unbidden, Drove north with a cardboard box of Mom's letters. Yellowed pages spilling secrets of her own hidden affections. A college fling with a sorority sister she'd buried under motherhood's mantle. "She'd want you whole," he said. Voice gruff over diner coffee. Ellie nodding beside him. "Brought these for the case. Proof their cures steal joy, not save it." Tears stung. I hugged him fierce, the old man's frame frail but unbowed. "Thanks. That means everything." Redemption's taste was bittersweet, a bridge mended with words unspoken too long. Emboldened, Zach wove the letters into closing. "This family, fractured by fear, chooses love over lies. So must we all." The judge ruled swift. Dismissal with prejudice. Sanctions on the church for frivolous litigation. Cheers erupted in the corridor. Marcus slunk away, cuffed anew on contempt charges, his empire crumbling. November's chill softened with triumph's glow. The settlement funded youth shelters, Zach's vision, a network of safe havens for out kids adrift like we'd been. Dad sold the farm remnant, splitting proceeds. Half to Ellie for a fresh start in Springfield, half to us as seed money for a dream. A brownstone in Andersonville, rainbow flags fluttering from the stoop. Winter settled gentle, our first holiday season as fiancés unbroken. We strung lights with Ellie and her new beau. Dad carving turkey with shaky hands but steady eyes. Toasting to kin, blood and chosen. Laughter filled the air, ghosts exorcised by grace. New Year's Eve found us on that same Brooklyn Bridge, full circle. Rain pattering soft as we exchanged vows under a officiant's umbrella. City lights haloing our promises. "I do," Zach said, ring slipping cool onto my finger. "Take care of you, always." Our kiss sealed it, deep and devouring, witnesses whooping as horns blared midnight. The year turned, and so did we, roots deepening in our fixer-upper. A golden retriever pup named Kane romping through renovations. I illustrated children's books now, tales of farm boys finding city hearts. Zach lectured at Northwestern, his scar a badge of battles won. Mornings blurred into forever. Coffee shared, sketches traded, bodies entwining with the ease of habit and heat. One spring dawn, as cherry blossoms dusted the yard, Zach knelt again, not with a ring, but a deed. "Ours," he whispered. "Forever." I pulled him up, love a tide pulling us under slow, then surging, gasps mingling with birdsong. Years wove onward, tapestry rich. Ellie's wedding where Dad danced with Zach, tipsy and tearful. Our adoption of a wide-eyed teen from the shelter, teaching him to mend fences literal and figurative. Trials came, health scares, career dips, but we weathered, promises our keel. In quiet moments, I trace his wrist scar, murmuring thanks for the lawyer who'd crashed my courtroom chaos. Saved me from a fate worse than jail, I'd say. Loneliness eternal. He'd smile, hazel eyes crinkling. Nah. We saved each other. And in America's vast, flawed heart, amid corn whispers and concrete canyons, we built a life unapologetic, human to the core, dramatic in storms, emotional in calms, romantic in glances, laced with betrayal's lessons and love's enduring light. Fate, turned out, bent not to hate's gale, but to the quiet strength of two men who dared believe.